One winter night at 9:30, cold, tired, and cross and muddy, I had come home too late to dine, and supper, with cigars and wine, was waiting in the study. There was a strangeness in the room, and something white and wavy was standing near me in the gloom. I took it for the carpet broom left by that careless slavey, but presently the thing began to shiver and to sneeze, on which I said, "Come, come, my man, that's a most inconsiderate plan. Less noise there, if you please." "I've caught a cold," the thing replies, "out there, upon the landing." I turned to look in some surprise, and there, before my very eyes, a little ghost was standing. He trembled when he caught my eye, and got behind a chair. "How came you here?" I said, "and why? I never saw a thing so shy. Come out, don't shiver there." He said I'd gladly tell you how, and also tell you why, but, here he gave a little bow, "you're in so bad temper now, you'd think it all a lie. And as to being in a fright, allow me to remark that ghosts have just as good a right in every way to fear the light as men to fear the dark." "No plea," said I, "can well excuse such cowardice in you, for ghosts can visit when they choose, whereas we humans can't refuse to grant the interview." He said, "A flutter of alarm is not unnatural, is it? I really feared you meant some harm, but now I see that you are calm. Let me explain my visit. Houses are classed, I beg to state, according to the number of ghosts that they accommodate. The tenant merely counts as weight with coals and other lumber. This is a one-ghost house, and you, when you arrived last summer, may have remarked a spectre who was doing all that ghosts can do to welcome the newcomer. In villas this is always done, however cheaply rented, for, though of course there's less of fun when there is only room for one, ghosts have to be contented. That spectre left you on the 3rd. Since then you've not been haunted, for, as he never sent us word, 'twas quite by accident we heard that any one was wanted. A spectre has first choice by right in filling up a vacancy, then phantom, goblin, elf, and sprite. If all these fail them, they invite the nicest ghoul that they can see. The spectres said the place was low, and that you kept bad wine, so, as a phantom had to go, and I was first, of course, you know, I couldn't well decline." "No doubt," said I, "they settled who was fittest to be sent, yet still to choose a brat like you to haunt a man of 42 was no great compliment." "I'm not so young, sir," he replied, "as you might think. The fact is, in caverns by the waterside and other places that I've tried, I've had a lot of practice. But I have never taken yet a strict domestic part, and in my flurry I forget the 5 good rules of etiquette we have to know by heart." My sympathies were warming fast towards the little fellow. He was so utterly aghast at having found a man at last, and looked so scared and yellow. "At least," I said, "I'm glad to find a ghost is not a dumb thing, but pray sit down. You'll feel inclined, if, like myself, you have not dined, to take a snack of something, though certainly you don't appear a thing to offer food to, and then I shall be glad to hear, if you will say them loud and clear, the rules that you allude to." "Thanks, you shall hear them by and by. This is a piece of luck. What may I offer you?" said I. "Well, since you are so kind, I'll try a little bit of duck. 1 slice. And may I ask you for another drop of gravy?" I sat and looked at him in awe, for certainly I never saw a thing so white and wavy. And still he seemed to grow more white, more vapory and wavier, seen in the dim and flickering light, as he proceeded to recite his maxims of behavior. Well, welcome back to Day 3 of my Fortnight of Fright. I wasn't sure if I would be able to get a 3rd one out 3 days in a row, but so far we are on track. Maybe I will be able to do this all 14 days after all. Maybe all 15 days if I include Halloween. Who knows what the future holds? But this is a poem I've actually been meaning to look into for literal years. I was a big fan of Lewis Carroll in high school, and I memorized Jabberwocky. Pretty much anyone who likes quirky poetry has memorized Jabberwocky and can speak about the slithy toves that gyre and gimble in the web. I made a mistake there, I think. Nah, never mind. And I also was in a speech club in high school where I participated in radio and poetry recitals and something else. I can't remember the other one because I don't think it meant... Maybe it was just radio and poetry recitals. But one of the things that I recited in the poetry recitals was the last portion of The Hunting of the Snark. If you've read The Hunting of the Snark, you know that it's actually like 7 or 8 poems, and he calls each poem a fit. He calls it Fit the First and Fit the Second. And I had to present 3 poems, so I didn't just do the last one, that's right. I did the introductory poem, then I did one of the fits midway through, and I ended with the final fit, because there is a way to break it into just 3 fits, even though you're missing a lot of the fun of the story. And I thought that today I should do a kind of fun poem today, because the first 2 poems that I did, well, Little Orphan Tanny is fun, but it's a different kind of fun. It's not really goofy fun. And Lewis Carroll, he's goofy. His poems are goofy. So I had in high school flipped through a big collection of all of his works, and I read pretty much everything in there. But then I just saw how long Phantasmagoria was, and so I said, you know, I don't think I really want to read this. Maybe there's a different thing I can read. So I looked at a few of the portions of Phantasmagoria. Like The Hunting of the Snark, it is divided into multiple poems called cantos. This is Canto 1, the Trystyng. I got a long way through this video before I even said the full name, didn't I? This is Phantasmagoria, Canto 1, the Trystyng. And I looked ahead. The next canto does contain the 5 maxims of behavior that all ghosts are expected to follow, but I figured it would be better to read the introductory one. Now, there was a moment when I first read it through, I got a little uncomfortable when it referenced the careless slavey. I said, I don't know if I want to acknowledge that, but, you know, we do have to acknowledge what poets wrote down, even if it's something that wouldn't be politically correct nowadays to say, because, well, at the time there were slaves in houses, and that is regrettable, and we never like thinking about these people in the past who had unfortunate views or pastimes. But apart from that, the poem was a sound one, and I liked that it had a rhyme scheme other than what you find in The Hunting of the Snark or Jabberwocky or some of his other poems. It's not my favorite poem so far, but then again, I've only read 3 of the cantos so far. Perhaps if I read all of the cantos, I will enjoy them all more. That's all I have to say on this today. I didn't really prepare as much information on Lewis Carroll because he's pretty easily researched. I will say that there's a lot of misinformation about him, though. There are a lot of things that people believe to be true about Lewis Carroll that are actually just rumors. And if you look them up, you can generally figure out which ones are rumors and which ones aren't. But the rumor cloud is very thick around Lewis Carroll. So, and reportedly it was during parts of his own life too, because he was kind of a private person who sort of kept to himself. But anyway, I need to stop recording this so I can record tomorrow's. I think tomorrow I'll do something a little less goofy. On Monday I said what it would be, but I said maybe we'll do some Poe. I think I'm gonna get to some Edgar Allan Poe for tomorrow. So thank you for joining me for day 3 of my Fortnight of Fright, and I will see you tomorrow. Stay scared, everyone. Bye.